Well, let me give my views on it then, because as we know, I put a tweet out saying we signed up. So we knew what we were signing up for. And it came across as maybe a little bit insensitive. That was never meant to be the case. I was always going to put some context with it. I hadn't seen the interviews, especially Alex Popham's one with his family, which was extremely sad. I had a lump in my throat watching that. But I still stand by the tweet that I put out. And again, we've spoken about social media before. And I've spoken about contextualizing things when you put it on social media, or even when you put it into text. Parts of our podcast before have been put out in the media, and it reads very differently to the way that we talk about it. So let me just reiterate, I was gutted to watch Alex Popham's statement on BBC, especially with his wife, seeing him with his kids. But I also stand by my statement when I say that we signed up. Now, you look at this in a number of different ways, and people are coming back at me on social media. For the first time ever, I was getting raging reading the stuff. People are like, wow, what do you mean you signed up? You signed up for dementia, you signed up for this. No, that's not my point. Okay, we signed up to play professional rugby at a very early stage of its infancy, when there was nothing, right? There was nothing around concussion, there was nothing around brain trauma. I signed up for that at that time, at that moment. Now, I've lost a little bit of sleep over this because, one, you'd read the messages on social media. I had people contacting me personally, both for and both against the statement that I made. But also because, again, what I put out on social media, dementia's rife in my family. My granddad and my nan both passed away with dementia this year. But the other part of that is the way that I played the game, right? Now, I think back about some of my experiences. I'm not going to name the clubs because who knows where this is going to go. My first big concussion was in a pre-season game. I've gone to dive on the ball. The scrum half has volleyed me in the head, right? Knocked me clean out. In the meeting, there's a countdown, or there's a count up. 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 20, to when I stand up. So I'm on the floor for 20 seconds, KO'd. Stand up, everyone's cheering. Hooray! They're going nuts, and you were rewarded for getting back in the line and showing that manliness and that, whatever you want to call it, stupidity, what it is now. I think about other parts to the game in which I was involved in. Again, it was interesting interviewing Jamie Cudmore, and his situation is different with Clement because they knew the situations around him going back on the field. But Jamie Cudmore played very similarly to me. Used to go around.
It was a lot harder, though.
He was a lot harder. He was. I'm happy to say that. Mate, we used to go around fucking people up in the rucks. Like old school. Hitting people. Spoke about it before, joked about it. Maybe we shouldn't joke about it. Knee and Alan Wynne-Jones in the head. Now, you go onto YouTube and there's Rugby's Biggest Thugs. You type in my name, Jim Hamilton, Rugby's Biggest Thugs. I look at that and I'm not proud when I watch what's on there. There's a clear out for Scotland against South Africa where I launch into a breakdown, clear out Francois Lowe. He ends up getting stretchered off the pitch. Stretchered off, spinal board, the lot, right? I'm involved in these situations. The biggest one for me was around me personally. I was at a club, played a game, really physical game. And I remember me and Beck went to London, right? Went out for a bit of meal. And as the paparazzi are out in these restaurants, I thought they were taking pictures of me, but they were taking pictures of each other or whatever. But I saw a flash in the corner of my eye. And I started to feel weird in this restaurant that we were in. And I had to go outside of the restaurant. Next thing, I am having a full-on panic attack outside with my missus. I'm meant to be hard as nails, top 10 second rows. I'm outside having a full-on panic attack saying, I think I'm going to die. She's like, what do you mean? I couldn't, I was stood in the middle of the road and I'd lost all my vestibular, all my balance had gone completely. That lasted for 4 months. Within that 4 months, I played and trained every single week. I was playing for the team at the time. I was coming in at half time and I could barely stand up because of the changing room, the noise and stuff like that. Not once was concussion mentioned at that point. At the time, only till recently did I realise that was concussion, right? That was concussion. Now, if this catches up with me for whatever reason, which it might well do, we're watching the stuff unfold. I was up in bed till 4 in the morning looking at all the stuff around CT. I've done it before. Who's to blame? This comes back to my point. Who's to blame?
Who do you think's to blame?
Me. I signed up for it. I didn't have to. I didn't have to play professional rugby. I didn't have to take another contract and look, there's a fine line between people saying, oh yeah, I signed up and wrecked my knee. I signed up and wrecked my back. Yeah, of course. No, I completely get that. But this is your brain. This is something completely different. This isn't signing up to wreck your knee. We're talking about concussion. We're talking about heads. We're talking about dementia. We're talking about serious business. You can get your knee replaced. Ask Goody. You can go down that point. My point is that I signed up. I had a choice. Okay? I had a choice with everything that was presented to me at that time in terms of what the risks were. So if I had another shoulder operation, what the risks were with that. Oh, you might not play again if you have this operation. You know? I nearly lost my eye playing in the game. Now, the guy said to me, you're very lucky that you've not lost your eye. So I had a decision. My last contract was joked about it on here. We spoke about London Irish to sign a 300 grand deal and take the money to keep playing and risk the chance that I was going to wreck my neck even more, wreck my back even more, have more concussions. At that point at 34, I said, no, I'm done. I'm done. I look at players now that are playing the game who I think should not be playing rugby because of the injuries that they've had. Top level internationals playing the game. I'm watching them play and I am thinking, you should not be playing rugby. But that is your choice. That's their choice. And I was on the pitch and I spoke about my issues of concussion. I was on the pitch in 2011. Kelly Brown got flatlined, KO'd in the game. I played against Argentina. And I was like, wow, that doesn't look good. Al Hargreaves, from playing for Saracens, flatlined, KO'd, snoring on the pitch. And I'm like, I know that can't be good. I know that can't be good for him. I know that can't be good for us. But I'm still going back to training, still looking for my next contract, still buying the nice car. And I know there's a superficial thing with this. And this is just this is, I sound like an American. This is my truth. This is what I think about it. My issue would lie is if the doctors at the clubs that I was at the internationals that I was playing, knew by me doing X amount of contact, X amount of games, was going to cause something in the future. That's what's happened in NFL. Stuff was covered up around that. They had knowledge, you know, and the question is going to come down to, did the governing bodies, did World Rugby, did the unions have knowledge of concussions, head knocks, that it would then cause what we're seeing now in all sports, not just rugby. Let's remember, we've spoken about NFL, football's the same. Anything where it involves contact with the head, we're now seeing because there's more and more stuff out there. So
imagine boxing. Imagine boxing.
Exactly. Imagine boxing. And again, it's not. So let me just get this right for people out there. This is not about the game is going soft by me saying that. I've got kids. I've got 4 kids. I've got a wife. I've got a family. I've just outlined some reasons why I'd be worried, because I've got dementia in my family and because of the way that I played the game and the injuries and the concussions that I had. It goes back to my point. I made the choice to sign up for that. Rugby is who defines me. It's who I am. It gave me a life. It gave me everything. I've spoken about it before. Rugby has given me everything, right? And I refuse to start pointing a finger at that doctor, that club, that union, World Rugby, and saying, for whatever happens in the future, it's your fault. It's your fault that I wanted to keep playing. It's your fault that this. You know, if I got to a state, and again, you go back, and this isn't me saying what people should do. There's guys that are playing, right, that have had 10 concussions. If I had 10 concussions, I wouldn't play. Especially now, I'd be like, no, I'm not. Look what's happening. You know, that's now. They've got that choice to make now. And players aren't making that choice. They're just carrying on because they want to get paid because of the experiences. They've not got kids or whatever. We didn't have that choice back then. We didn't know. No one knew. Otherwise, there wouldn't have been a countdown. There wouldn't have been a count up to 20.